Okay guys, this is the Black Control deck tech. Let's jump right in and show you what we're playing. Kicking things off with 2 Despoiler Souls, which is a 2 casting 3/1 creature. It can't block, and we can pay 2 black mana and exile 2 other creature cards from our graveyard to return this card from the graveyard to the battlefield. Playing this is a great little bit of recursion. We are playing a little bit of a sub-delirium theme, so we have a card that we can always discard and get back in later turns. We're also playing 2 Asylum Vista, which is a 2 casting 3/1 creature. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, if that player has no cards in hand, we draw a card and lose a life, and we play it for its mana cost, which is for 2 mana, which means that basically if we discard a card, we can discard it into exile, and if we do, we can cast it for its mana cost or put it into our graveyard. It's great when we cast this card and we have a very low card count and we can deplete our own hand. We're also playing a little bit of a discard thing going into this deck, so we can always eliminate our opponent's hand, so we can try and get a card advantage from Asylum Visitor, and the 2 mana 3/1 is just absolutely crazy. We're also playing 2 Bearer of Silence, which is 2 casting 2/1 creature with Devoid, which means this card has no colour. If we cast, when we cast Bearer of Silence, we can pay a generic mana and a colourless mana, and if we do, target opponent will sacrifice a creature. It does have flying and it can't block as well, so for 2 mana we get a 2/1 fly that can't block, which is pretty okay, I don't mind that. But when we pay the colourless and generic mana, we get our opponent to sacrifice a creature, so we can deal with a bit of a threat that we might have a bit of difficulty. It's a bit of an investment, a bit more of an investment, but it's well worth the cost. We're also playing 2 Heir of Falkenrath, which is a 2 casting 2/1 creature. We can discard a card and transform it into Heir to the Night, which is a 3/2 creature with flying. So realistically, we always want to be transforming this creature into the 3/2 flyer. It will get through for quite a bit of damage, and I have won a fair few games with this card. I'm really digging how good this card is. We're also playing 3 Grasp of Darkness, which is a 2 casting instant. Target creature gets -4/-4 on turn to turn. Very efficient piece of removal. It deals with a lot of threats, you know, the mid-range early creatures it deals with so much. It's fantastic. We're also playing a new card in that's just been released in Eldritch Moon, which is Whispers of Emrakul, 2 mana sorcery. Target opponent discards card at random, and then it has Delirium, which means that if there are 4 or more card types among cards in our graveyard, the player discards 2 cards at random. We're playing as a free of. So as you can clearly see, we want to get to Delirium because this card is technically a worse Himatorak. So when we have Delirium, it's Himatorak. We're not really casting it much before we have Delirium. I don't see the advantage. I think we really want to have Delirium a lot of the times when we cast this card. So I'm playing it because we have a way of discarding cards and we have a way of putting cards into our graveyard. So we can try and give ourselves deliberately Delirium. So this card is absolutely fantastic. We're also playing 1 Liliana Heretical Healer, which is a 3 casting 2/3 legendary creature with lifelink. And whenever another non-token creature we control dies, we can exile her and then return it to the battlefield transformed under our control. And if we do, we get to put 2 black zombie creature onto the battlefield as well, and we transform into Liliana Defiant Necromancer, which is a planeswalker with 3 loyalty. Now we can gain 2 loyalty to have everyone discard a card, and then -X to return target non-legendary creature card with converted mana cost X from the graveyard to the battlefield, and then we can get -8 to get an emblem with whenever a creature dies, we return it to the battlefield under our control at the beginning of the next end step. So each of the 3 modes on this planeswalker are fantastic. Making everyone discard a card is great because we are playing a bit of a sub-delirium theme, so we can keep that delirium theme going. The -X will help us get any creature we want back from the graveyard, so we can create board position if we need to, and the -8 ability is just something that takes over games and wins on the spot. We're also playing 2 Fleshbag Marauder, which is a 3 casting 3/1 creature, and when it enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature. Great piece of removal, fantastic at dealing with some of the harder to deal with threats, you know, stuff like Unamark and Geier's Revenge that are played in this current format. So Fleshbag Marauder is like its earlier brother, which is Bearer of Silence, so we are using it as a way of generating some sort of card advantage as well. We're also playing 3 Murder, which is a new card that is just coming in Eldritch Moon. It's a reprint, but it hasn't been reprinted on Magic Tools. It's a 3 casting instant that reads Destroy target creature. For 3 mana, it's fantastic for what it does. I'm really happy that this card is now in Jaws. It means that we have some more good, efficient removal. Also playing 3 Read the Bones, which is a 3 casting sorcery. We can scry 2, then draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. To scry 2, we will look at the top 2 cards of our library, then put any number of them on the bottom of our library, and the rest on top of in any order. So we can sort of fix what we're going to draw before we draw it, so we can have a look and have a see what we may or may not want, and then draw 2 cards that we want to probably potentially have as well. So it's a great little bit of card advantage, and I do like it a lot. It's one of my favourite cards from Magic Origins in black. We're also playing 1 Liliana the Last Hope, which is a 3 casting Planeswalker with 3 loyalty. It's a new card that's just coming out of Moon, so the abilities are +1, up to 1 creature gets -2/-1 until our next turn. And then -2 to put 2 cards of our library into our graveyard, and then we may return a creature card from our graveyard to the hand. And then -7 to get an emblem with, at the beginning of our end step, we put X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is 2+ the number of zombies we control. So each 3 of these modes look absolutely crazy. The +1 is great because we can either kill a creature or we can make a creature weaker. The -2 is fantastic that we can mill ourselves for a delirium theme, and also we have the Grave Digger effect of the -2, which is, I think that's quite good. And the -7, just the -7 ability just seems like it's just going to take over so many games. It's going to be ridiculous. We're also playing 1 Kalitas Traitor Ghet, which is a 4 casting 3/4 legendary creature. Does have lifelink, and if a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, instead we exile that card and put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. And now we can pay 3 mana and sacrifice either a vampire or a zombie to put 2 +1/+1 counters on Kalitas. So it's a really good, efficient life gain card. We have ways to generate board states where we can kill creatures, and so we can use those 2 creatures if we need to get Kalitas 3 for damage. It's great against the aggro decks of the format as well, because the lifelink is very, very relevant against them. We're also playing 2 Elusive Tormentor, which is a 4 casting 4/4 creature, and we can pay 1 mana and discard a card and transform Elusive Tormentor into Insidious Mist, which is a 0/1 creature. It has hexproof and indestructible, and it can't block and can't be blocked, and whenever Insidious Mist attacks and isn't blocked, we can pay 3 mana, and if we do, we transform it back into Elusive Tormentor. This is a great win condition. For 4 mana investment, we're hitting for our opponent for 4 every single turn. You know, it's great. I've won quite a few games from Elusive Tormentor. It's become one of my favourite ways to win Magic games at the moment. We're also playing 2 Thought-Knot Seer, which is a 4 casting 4/4 creature. It does have the colourless mana requirements as well, and when it enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals his or her hand. We choose an online card from it and we exile that card. When it leaves the battlefield, they get to draw a card. We do lose a bit of the card advantage when this card leaves the battlefield, but it's never a fair trade-off. We're always taking the best card that we can possibly take at that time, and they're always getting something back that may not be that best card. We're also playing 2 Languish, which is a 4 casting sorcery. All creatures get -4/-4. Fantastic little sweeper against the aggro decks and of the format. Also playing 2 Gilt-Leaf Winnower, which is a 5 casting 4/3 creature. Has menace, which means that this creature can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. And when it enters the battlefield, we may destroy target non-elf creature whose power and toughness aren't equal. So it's a great piece of removal and a great evasive threat as well. We're also playing 2 Reality Smasher, which is a 5 casting 5/5 creature. Again, this has the colourless mana requirements. It does have trample and haste, and when it becomes the target of a spell an opponent controls, we counter that spell unless its controller discards a card. So it's great. It's creating its card advantage because they have to trade a 2 for 1. They have to cast a card and discard a card as well to be able to get rid of this 1 card. It's a 5 mana 5/5 trample with haste. It's pretty hard to argue, and it does win games on the spot. We're also playing 1 Ob Nixilis Reignited, which is a 5 casting Planeswalker with 5 loyalty. We can gain loyalty to draw a card and lose a life, lose 3 loyalty to destroy target creature, and -8 to have target opponent get an emblem with. Whenever a player draws a card, they lose 2 life. So we're going to use this card advantage with the +1. -3, we're going to use it for creature removal. The -8, we're not really going to use that often. We usually use this if there are opponents below 10. We can use it as a way to try and shock them out of the game, which is great. Lands this time around are going to be 16 Swamps, 2 Westvale Abbey, which is a card that that produces a colourless mana. We can pay 5 mana, then tap this card and pay a life to put a 1/1 white and black human cleric token onto the battlefield. And then we can pay 5 mana, tap this, sacrifice 5 creatures, and transform Westvale Abbey, then untap it, and it will be our Armadillo Profane Prince, which is a 9/7 legendary creature with flying, lifelink, indestructible, and haste. And this card, when it gets flipped over, it just wins so many Magic games, it's insane. We're also playing 1 Geier Reach Sanitarium. Sorry if I said that wrong. It's a legendary land. It taps for a colourless mana. We can pay 2 mana and each player will draw a card and then discard a card. I like this card because it helps with the Sub-Delirium Fiend that we're playing. Also helps us generate card advantage, and we can get our opponent discarding cards, maybe cards that they just don't want to get rid of at that point. We're also playing 2 Rogue's Passage, which is another card that adds for colourless mana, and we can pay 4 mana to make a target creature not be able to reblock this turn, so it's great again for some extra bits of damage if we need to. We're also playing 3 Mortuary Mire, which is a land that enters the battlefield tapped, and when it enters the battlefield we may put target creature card from our graveyard on top of our library, and it can tap for a black mana. It's a great piece of a graveyard recursion. Even though it goes on top of our library, it's still very relevant that we're going to draw that same card the next turn. It's fantastic. Anyway guys, for those of you that have enjoyed the deck tech and want to go and check out the main gameplay, that is in the annotation now, and I will see you in the next one.